It's Aaron and Justin, whoa. It's Aaron and Justin, oh yeah. They're back to bring you more. It's Aaron and Justin, you don't know what's in store. They're doing what all white dude bros have done. Talking Marvel just for fun. It's Aaron and Justin, whoa. It's Aaron and Justin, let's start the show.
All right, let's start.
Do it.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Welcome, everyone, to this historical first episode of Aaron and Justin Talk Sequels. Season 4 is upon us, and we are changing things up. My co-host Aaron is nodding at me. Say hi, Aaron.
Oh, hi. Yeah, they can't see me. Hello. We're changing things up for the first time in 20 years. I don't know how long we've been doing this.
We've been talking sequels for 3 seasons, and it's been fun. We are going to talk about the entire Marvel filmography. All the Marvel movies that have ever been made. And by our count, that means currently we are at 88.
Oh my god.
We are going to be spending the next billion years
I thought it was half that. Damn it.
doing this podcast. Yes.
And how many do you think will be added to that list during the duration
By the time
of
we're
us doing
done?
this? Yeah.
And that's the tricky part. 2 to 3 a year. Let's say it takes, like it could be a thing where we're trapped in this season forever because we can never get caught up.
I think they may hit the 100 mark while we're doing our 88.
I think that's very safe. And obviously we're going to do those too.
And then when they remake Iron Man, we'll have to do that as well.
They'll just do the reverse. They'll just do cartoon
Oh,
versions.
animated
No,
versions.
no,
Yeah,
that's
that
not
makes
it.
sense. AI versions.
Just be clear, this is not the MCU that we're covering. We're covering all Marvel movies ever.
I mean, it becomes the MCU.
But it becomes the MCU after surprising number of movies. It doesn't become the MCU until the 32nd movie.
So we're starting 1977. So from 77 to 2008, correct? When Iron Man came out?
Yep.
That's the duration that we're covering before we even reach the MCU.
Which is, yeah.
Was there anything in the past that was retconned into the MCU?
I mean, only through the multiverse have they kind of retconned them all in.
Yes, but yeah, that aside, like, was there any property that was made prior
No,
that they took?
none that I'm aware of.
Because I always felt like the Incredible Hulk, the Edward Norton vehicle, could have been a sequel to the Ang Lee's Hulk with Eric Bana.
I
Because he
mean-
was kind of on the run.
It could be implied, but never implicitly said.
Yeah. Anyway, it's just a fun thought.
There's some
experiment.
movies we're not covering.
Yeah,
we need
what
to
are
get
those?
that out of the way now for you nerds. No TV show movies. There's 2 more technical Spider-Man movies that
Yes,
are after
right.
today's.
I was going to mention that.
But they're just 2 episodes shoved together and put into theaters
Yep.
in
And
foreign markets.
yeah, I think only internationally too is what I read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a Captain America serial that a lot of people consider, but that was like 1944 and there was like 100 of them. It's just a TV show. No, we're not doing it.
Those are the things they made to put before feature films, which was, I think, the very first Marvel property, right, that was ever seen live action.
Yeah.
I did a little deep dive on it. So from the Captain America serials in the 40s, the next time a Marvel character was live action was actually Spider-Man, but not what we're covering today. He was little 3-minute segments that was in The Electric Company, the show from the early 70s. Did you read that at all?
Really?
Yeah.
No.
So it was just some guy in a Spider-Man costume. The Electric Company cast after Sesame Street had come out. So there's the Electric Company, which is like a kid version of SNL. Is kind of how I always thought about it, where you just had adult actors do funny stuff for kids, and it was called The Electric Company. But they would have a segment where they would go, and now Spider-Man. The TV stream would look like a comic panel, and you would see a guy in a Spider-Man costume come out, and he would kind of move funny, and he would never speak, but it would just be in word bubbles, and he would go after a character called the Spoiler, who was always spoiling things for kids, and it would just wrap up in 3 minutes. That was the first time, or the next time, any Marvel character was seen live action, until what we're covering today.
And I mean, there was a lot of animated stuff in the late 60s, but it really speaks to how quick and how good Stan Lee was at doing this marketing stuff. Because Spider-Man had only been, 62?
Yeah.
And 5 years later, there's TV shows? Like, it's kind of cool.
Well, yeah, he spent the 60s working on every comic, writing this, doing that. But I think by the time the 70s hit, or even late 60s, he was like, we need to make Marvel a TV sensation or a movie sensation. So he kind of became the guy that worked nonstop to try to make those kind of things happen. And it really, like, sadly, would hardly ever really take off until he had the Hulk. And then, finally once X-Men and stuff started picking up speed in the late 20th century. But even then, he was only like executive producer. I don't think he had too much of a hand in that kind of stuff.
And I mean, they did go bankrupt in the 90s.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to pause the podcast right now and go and Google Stan Lee so that you can see what he actually looked like as opposed to the character we all know now. He was a very different looking person, and the thing that Stan Lee as is just a persona that he put on to, I don't know, like he just...
Well, no, I mean, it's like the 60s were New York Stan, where he would write the comics and or plot them or whatever you want to say for like 100 comics a month. He was diligently working on Marvel property. But then I think Hugh Hefner was his model for like, wait, I want to be this cool 70s dude who makes comics and tries to get Marvel into TV and movies. So he moved out to California and he just became the Stan that we know with the big glasses and the hair.
Yeah.
It was just his metamorphosis into this brand ambassador, basically.
So yeah, there's some stuff we're not covering. We are not covering anything that's not an original work or it's not long enough. We're also not going to cover any direct-to-video animated films. And I'm sorry to everyone, we're not doing any of the foreign adaptations because that is just such a weird rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Because there was a popular Japanese Spider-Man in
Yeah.
the 70s too.
Toei Spider-Man, as they call it, with the big giant robot that was actually he had Leopardon was the robot's name, and it would fight giant kaijus. But that Spider-Man Japanese thing is why we have Power Rangers nowadays, because they basically invented the big robot thing in that Spider-Man show, which I don't think a lot of people know.
Well, the chick into the Spider-Verse, is that like a play on that?
Yeah. They brought Toei Spider-Man, as it's known, into the Spider-Verse, so then they have the robot. So now, so he's been able to interact with other Spider-Man in the comics and stuff. It's been a lot of fun. That was a good series. Spider-Verse was fun for that kind of stuff. So you mentioned Red Sonja, though. Why is that not something?
She's just a licensed property. Marvel didn't make her.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, just the same as Conan. They made
Right.
Transformers comics. Does that mean the Transformers movies are Marvel? No.
Well, Star Wars
They were
is,
just
right? Star Wars is
licensed.
Marvel, right? They had those comics in the 70s.
Exactly. Season 4.
Yeah.
We've always been Aaron and Justin Talk sequels, but you have a different name for us for this season.
Yeah.
What is our title?
I think it should be Aaron and Justin Talk sequels, Marvel Mayhem. Because a lot of these are going to still be sequels, right? Come on.
And now we have to move on to the main topic of the podcast this week, which is Spider-Man, the TV movie from 1977. We're going to talk about the cast.
Okay.
I loved this cast. I loved this cast. What did you think of the movie overall?
Well, the cast, I was happy that they had the characters from, like, they didn't bother renaming people and stuff like that. They had Joe Robertson, they had J. Jonah Jameson, they had Peter Parker, Aunt May, that kind of stuff.
Peter Parker was great. I loved that character.
Yeah. Nicholas Hammond, sorry.
Nicholas Hammond.
He was good. He's got a good look to him. I like the 70s hair. It fits. The brutal soundtrack, of course.
Oh my God, the soundtrack was crazy.
The problem with him is, to me, he seemed a little out of it and a little slow.
Every member of this cast is just an assembly of 70s bit TV guys, and they have extensive filmographies in TV stuff just because it's what they did. And this was just another assignment. But I feel like they did a great job of characterizing Peter Parker in that proper way of he's a poor guy and he cons the Daily Bugle into selling photos of himself to make cash, which Spider-Man started as a bit of a little con artist.
Right, and he was never really a good photographer. He was just somebody that happened to get shots. And they would even talk about it sometimes in the comics, that because he would just set up the camera wherever he could web it to and then hope he'd get some action. So anytime he was turning in photos, they had to be some of the shittiest looking photos.
I remember
Way
those
back,
comics so clearly.
Too much headroom. But the Bugle and Jameson was just like, it's Spider-Man and I hate Spider-Man. And anytime you can give me Spider-Man things that I can talk bad about him in my paper, I'll do it. So he would buy Parker's stuff anyways. But I think he wasn't any good at it.
The guy that played Robbie Robertson,
Yeah.
I feel like he accidentally nailed that character in the way that him and J. Jonah...
He did. He was probably the most comic, like, I felt, because he was just a supporter of Peter's and he could calm down Jameson.
Yeah.
He'd be the one that would give Parker a shot, even though Jameson was just like, who is this kid? I don't care about this guy. But I think the guy who played Jameson was good too. I think he kind of nailed the I'm a good editor-in-chief and yet I can't put up with anything.
Yeah, he was so driven about the newspaper part. They had dimensions, and I loved it. The comic accuracy is really the thing that stood out. Like, this was just a really accurate portrayal of Peter Parker, and I mean, Spider-Man is just whatever, but
I think so. Overall, I just get disappointed that, like, where are the supervillains? Like, why does it always have to be gangsters and mind control and just normal dudes in suits and hats? You already have Spider-Man wearing his ridiculous costume with his stupid eyes on the mask. Why don't you just throw in a Dr. Octopus with some arms hanging off him that wouldn't do much? Or a Green Goblin at least. Or Electro or Shocker. Just throw in somebody. Like, what's the problem?
I don't think the TV show did it. Yeah.
I looked through the synopsis of every episode and they never did it.
And Robbie Robertson was cut from the show. He was not in there.
No, he wasn't?
They replaced him with...
Because he was black.
What was the name? No, they replaced him with the chick from the comics, but they changed her name.
Betty Brant.
No, the secretary.
They changed the name. Glory.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Glory's in the comics. I wonder if Glory was in the comics because she was in the TV show, though.
It's possible.
Glory Grant, as opposed to Betty Brant.
Any other comments about the cast?
I think Peter needs to stand up for himself a little more. Oh, the captain
Yes!
and the guy that tries to deliver his stuff to Peter, you know, that thing. Those guys seem like they are in the wrong show.
But I loved it.
And you know what it is? It's because during rehearsals, I think they thought they had really hilarious bits back and forth. But it did not translate for me to this kind of show. It just did not fit. The captain was too much. In his voice, and he's like this all the time.
They did this all the time back then. This was a TV movie that was a backdoor pilot.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody basically transfers over to the TV show. Huge hit.
Yeah, it did pretty well.
Huge hit. It was CBS's biggest TV movie of the year,
Yeah.
which was a thing in the 70s. It was released theatrically around the world, and it made like $9 million in theaters.
Yeah, because it only cost, I think, about $75. That was a good return on investment.
The plot is really straightforward. They do an accurate bit in by Radioactive Spider. I liked that entire segment. Why are they playing with radiation?
I don't know. I have this note I put here, and it's all caps. It says, "More of the lab experiment, please." Oh my god, that noise. And they're just transferring radioactive liquid from one beaker to the next. I mean, it was like 5 minutes of just why was it even in there?
Yeah.
What are they doing? And the radiation is apparently okay as long as there's a lead cover on it. You can just immediately open up the door.
Yeah.
I guess maybe there wasn't any radiation that was coming from it at all. It's just if you touch the liquid, it would make you irradiated. But the spider didn't touch the liquid.
Yeah.
It just was in the space and it became radiated somehow. I don't know. It didn't connect for me. Don't think about it too hard. The delivery guy thinks he's gonna get cancer. It's too much. And then of course Peter puts his hand behind a computer or something and gets bit. That we never see the spider actually bite him, but he goes, "Ow!"
Yeah. Delivery guy. My favorite bit of the whole movie.
It was too much for me. I could not take that guy.
I don't know if you noticed. It starts with the delivery in the 70s. Apparently you could deliver stuff to people and not have them pay for it until it gets delivered.
Yeah, it was like COD, like cash on demand.
Yeah,
I think is what that
cash on
means.
delivery.
Yeah.
But on demand.
Cash on
maybe.
delivery,
Yeah.
sorry. No, demand is modern.
But
on delivery.
So it
yes.
starts at like, what did he owe him? Like $20?
No, it was
And-
like he said it was $46.
No, it was 20 something because this is why the bit's good.
Okay.
Because he asks his friend in the lab to let him borrow like 20 something.
Yeah.
And he didn't have it. The entire reason that this movie happens is because he needs the thing that got delivered by that guy.
Right.
And so like it starts at
Right.
like 20 something and it goes up as the movie goes on.
It's
by
46
the end,
is the amount
yes,
he needs.
at the end. Then eventually it gets paid for by the lady at the end.
Right.
He keeps trying to turn in pictures to the Daily Bugle to get the money.
That goes along with he sneezes a lot. And that goes nowhere except I think it's one more thing to show, look, Parker's a normal guy. He's got problems like all of us. He forgot to take his allergy pills. And I'm like, what's the sneezing? Like, he's going to start sneezing when a guy is beating him up so he can't fight back. No, it never happens. I think that was Stan's contribution to this. Make sure he sneezes. Make sure he's broke. That's it.
Yeah, I could see that. The bad guy is very straightforward. I like the cleverness of this bit. This guy brainwashes normal people into committing crimes for him. And so we get these shots of just a doctor going out and robbing a bank with a lawyer or something. It's a good idea.
And he uses it to blackmail the city. He says, I'm going to have these 10 people. You don't know who they are. They don't know who they are. they're going to kill themselves if you don't pay me $50 million or something like that.
If that was the Vulture doing it,
Right, this is what I mean though. If they showed the guy who was doing it at the very end, he had just some sort of supervillain costume on. I think that would have been something to do, and I don't know why they wouldn't do that. When you already have Spider-Man in his ridiculous costume, why wouldn't you just have a supervillain?
but we had ninjas for some reason.
They were more like dojo assistants, you know?
But where was the dojo?
They were more like monks than they were ninjas.
Yes.
Let me put it that way. Why were they there?
It didn't make any sense.
I think he learned his mind control ability in the Orient, as is what they would have called it back then. And those were the teachers that he mind controlled and brought to New York with him to try to take over the city.
And like stuff happens. Spider-Man and Peter Parker try to figure it out. We get Peter learning his powers.
How about that insane green screen or blue screen on the side of his house?
That was the weirdest choice
So
of all.
weird.
Like, I'm just curious where he could see the image because he was touching the right spots.
I mean, they put some work into it. It just looked bizarre. But I will give him credit for the wire work. I think you couldn't wire up that house. So they were like, well, what are we going to do? We got to do the blue screen. But as far as wiring up the buildings, really good. I never saw any wires anywhere. I think they covered it really well.
They were talking about how there was wire work, but also like a track system that he was attached to.
Yeah, when he was fighting the monks / ninjas in that hallway, you could tell there was like a line on the ceiling where there was a track. So he had the wire and he was connected to it so he could walk up and down.
Yeah.
And also there was him on the wall, a wire holding him so he could jump on the wall and stuff. But pretty good. They covered up the wires pretty well.
Do you know what you realize pretty quickly watching this movie and watching Spider-Man? They don't know how to use him walking on walls to any effect other than he can do it.
He can do it.
But
I know.
what do they do in the does he do it in the comics in a way that makes any difference? Is that a useless power?
It is a useless power. What he does in the comics is swing. He swings around a lot. That's how he gets around.
Yeah.
And rarely does he just crawl. The swinging is dangerous and expensive for them to do, apparently. So he can't do a lot of that. So yeah, he's just got to crawl. But they make him, the idea is like, you're a spider. Just be a spider. So he just crawls and he looks around and then he looks around this way and he crawls some more and he looks under him. My problem with the film overall is that it's a real slog to get through. The soundtrack's brutal and it's just him walking around and wall crawling a lot. It's not that interesting to me. Maybe this would have been more interesting to somebody in the 70s who hadn't seen it before.
Overall, I was pleasantly surprised. So he stops the guy and everything's fine and we're ready for the TV show. Is there anything else to the plot?
I
There's a
mean,
girl-
Aunt May, we didn't talk about. She's a handful.
I don't remember Aunt May. It's been 2 weeks since I watched the movie.
She just would yell at Peter a lot, like, "We have dinner. Dinner's ready, Peter. Come on down." You know, she was just too much. No Mary Jane? Come on. You can have a Mary Jane.
No Mary Jane. Was there a love interest on the show?
There was one of the guy's daughters. You know, he helps her get to the hospital and he believes her that her father, something's going on. Like, he wouldn't do this normally, that kind of thing. Yeah, she's kind of the love interest.
Yeah, and she is, but I'm assuming she just doesn't exist after this.
Yeah, probably not. I don't know why she would get transferred over to the TV show. One of the bad guys was Jerry's Uncle Leo. Do you remember? Do you reminded of him?
Was it? I didn't recognize him.
Uncle Leo. Hello. The webbing, like when he makes the web shooter.
Yeah.
And he just unvelcros the empty one and just velcros a new one on, and then all of a sudden it works. Like, it wasn't even connected to anything. You just put a piece of metal on Velcro and all of a sudden it's connected. I just thought that was funny. I have a permanent memory of him swinging from that tree. So I don't know if I had seen this movie before. I definitely saw parts of it, but I remember seeing that as a kid when he fired his webbing on the tree and he was testing it out.
Sounds like they reused a lot of the webbing and the swinging for the show.
Yeah, so maybe I saw episodes of the show.
Because I have a memory of this, but I have never actually watched it intentionally.
But I know I have a memory of it before YouTube.
Yeah.
Is all I'm saying.
The same way that I know that I've watched The Incredible Hulk.
Right.
But I cannot tell you anything about it at all.
Yeah, I don't think I've watched a whole episode on purpose, but I definitely had seen it growing up.
I know the show is the only reason that I know his first name's David. The special effects are fine.
Yeah, the special effects are fine. I understand their limitations and what they had to work with. It's TV money, for God's sakes. And also, it's made by TV people that had already been in the business for years. So they don't know what they're doing with superheroes. They're just trying to make a TV show on time and on budget.
Top to bottom, I went through the filmography of every person that worked on this, and it's just littered with TV stuff. It's just what they did. I liked the music. I'm sorry.
No, it was god awful. It was brutal is the only word I can think of. It just was too much. Even for the 70s, I expected it, but it was just too much.
Same with that guy. He showed up for the work, he did it, and then he left. He was like, great, cut.
Yeah.
Let's go smoke a cigar.
Yeah, nobody did this because they were like, oh, I want to do a Spider-Man show. They were like, what's my next job? Nobody, maybe Nick Hammond was all about it because he was, I'm going to be Spider-Man, and it meant a lot to him. Who knows? He was one of the Von Trapp children. Did you know that?
I have still never seen the Sound
You haven't
of
seen
Music,
that?
but yes, he was
It's about Nazis.
No.
I do have a note here, though, that his Spidey sense, it's more psychic powers. That's what Spider-Man's Spider Sense does. It senses imminent danger. This is more like psychic powers because he just was anywhere.
Great note.
And he would feel danger somewhere else. And not so much danger, but it would help him piece together.
Psychic powers is right, yeah.
But again, I can't tell you what if they went further with that into the show or not. I don't know.
Costume. What did you think of it?
Everything great from the neck down. I just don't like the eyes. I think they tried to make it so he could see what he was doing, but I don't think that's necessary. I think they should have just gave him good white designed eyes like the comics. Who cares? You're just a stunt guy. Like, you don't need to see that well.
I liked it. It was functional. My favorite part.
But functional is
Was-
not necessary, is all I'm saying.
No, you're completely right. But what I really liked in terms of functionality
I know what
was
you're
how
gonna say. It looked awful.
that pulled from the back
Yeah.
and came off.
I know, but
Like a
then he's
reverse
like
hood?
wearing a bra. It just looked weird.
Well, no.
And that's the moment where he laughs. Can we get a take 2 on that? Hey, Nick, that was a creepy laugh.
No, I was more talking about in terms of functionality where you don't see the seam because they have it really cleverly hidden in the back. And I just thought that was great design.
No, to me, it showed the costume shop's design of it, not I am a college kid designing my own suit. That's what it said to me.
I wish we had had the belt more.
I think the show he has the web shooters on the outside too eventually.
Okay, yeah, I believe they were on the outside in the show.
The suit looked completely good. And then all of a sudden at the very end, he showed up with a belt, which he didn't even use. And then in the show, I believe he has the outside web shooter, which never appeared in the movie. And then the last note I had is his awful last line. Did they not know how to end it? Parker, why are you the only one that can get pictures of this Spider-Man? Because, Mr. Jameson, I believe.
That was terrible.
It was awful. It was an awful ending.
It received a 17.8 rating with a 30 share. Do you know what that means? I don't.
I am going to take a stab at it, and I think that means 17 million people watched it.
With a share of 30% of households, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, because back then you could get that many million probably watching something like this. Nowadays, you could get a 3 share or a 4 share, so you might get 3 to 4 million people watching broadcast TV. That's how much it's changed.
Okay, so do you think any of the modern Spider-Man actors, where does Nicholas Hammond rank with
Oh my
Spider-Man
God.
actors?
I did read that he was in the original Spider-Man Sam Raimi film, but he's uncredited.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, he may be in the crowd in Times Square, like when the Green Goblin attacks, something like that.
That's adorable. And then he was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, how did that happen?
That's random.
I'll have to check that
Yeah.
out again. That deserves a rewatch.
Yeah. So we have
Oh.
how many Spider-Man actors do we have?
Well, we got
Toby.
We got Nick was technically the first, right?
Yep. Nick, Toby, what's his butt?
Andrew Garfield.
Garfield, and then are we missing somebody other obvious?
Has there really
I mean,
only been 4 when there's been like a dozen that have played Batman? It's hard, it's hard to believe.
Yeah, I think there's just 4.
Okay. If there's only 4 actors, he's definitely the 4th.
Thank God I liked him.
Is he really better than Andrew Garfield's take on Peter Parker?
No.
No. Is he better than Tom Holland's? No.
No. Tom Holland is.
And
a
he's
really
not better
good
than Tobey
modern-
Maguire.
No. Okay, yeah, he's easily the last. But let's reverse it. Could any of those guys done this movie?
I would say Maguire could have done this movie.
Ooh, just because he would fit in the 70s, like his look?
Yeah.
Is he just a man out of time?
He might be.
Yeah.
I mean, he
weird.
fit into Pleasantville.
Yeah.
But I also think Andrew Garfield could be Tom Holland's Spider-Man as well. I think they could be interchangeable. But I don't think either of them could have been in the Raimi films.
This series is going to be the first time I watch any of the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. I've never watched them.
That's interesting.
I'm really curious to see when Feige starts having his hand in. I know he was in Spider-Man 3, but I don't know if he was in movies before.
He was
that.
in
I wasn't paying
X-Men.
attention.
Like, he started on in the X-Men films.
Did he?
Yeah, in some
Yeah.
capacity.
Anyway, something that we should do for this entire series is assign this a numerical ranking so that when we're done, we could rank everything. And so we need to go 1 to 100.
Well, now, wouldn't this just be by default number 1? And then when we watch the next one, is this still number 1, or is the next thing we watch the new number 1?
Oh my God, that would be tricky. We would have to have an Excel sheet for that. And, well, I was going to say, like, this is a solid 47.
But I don't know. Maybe it's a 10, compared to the other dretch we're going to watch in the next 30 years.
I really like the thought of this is the number 1 best movie in the Marvel franchise as of right now.
Yeah. I mean, the Marvel movies we've seen none of them except for 1977 Spider-Man. This is definitely their best output so far.
Very best. I'm very excited to see what they have coming for us next. Great idea. Okay. Thank you all so much for listening to us talk about this. This format's going to change a little as we move on. And,
Right, and one of us might die and be replaced.
By a robot.
No, just an AI friend. Yeah,
Why don't we have AI be a co-host sometime?
Okay.
That would be fun.
let's do it. Well, we'll
But,
feed a
yeah.
couple of our episode recordings and see if it kind of gets our banner down.
Maybe we'll have AI start
And,
scripting us.
We'll see what it does.
The words coming out of our mouths are produced by robots.
They should start scripting us. You're right.
Yes, they will start cease communication. But that's it. Follow us on no social media right now, but we're discussing that. But subscribe to us on the YouTube.
Yeah, the YouTube.
Subscribe to us on your podcast app. That way, if you start listening to us and you can't finish the episode, you can find us easily. All right, that was fun.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.